there's a bigger story in college football than this playoff right here, even though this is in the moment and in the now. We found out that the Rose Bowl has, in fact, gotten out of the way. They got their antiquated, overrated ass out of the way, and we are going to get a 12-team playoff starting with the 2024 season. That means the 4-team playoff has this year and next year, and that's it. The college football playoff will expand its playoff from 4 to 12 teams in 2024. Jack.
So I'm probably the closest on this podcast to not agreeing with the playoff expanding, but I still am on the side of this is good. I'm excited. I can't wait to see how it looks. It's going to be fun, and I think college football will be completely fine. I do see some downsides, but I don't know if the downsides – there's always downsides to change. There was downsides to conference realignment. I think we're seeing positives. That will continue to change. There was downsides. I don't think as much to NIL, but there may be some downsides to NIL, and it seems like that's going great. There was downsides to the transfer portal. That's going great. So everything is looking really good for the playoff, and I'm excited to see how it looks in 2 years. These conference championship weekends that we're seeing right now, this weekend is not as great as years past. If there was 12 teams, it would be much better this weekend, at least in my opinion.
It absolutely would be.
Your thoughts?
I love it. And we've had this argument on the podcast. We've had it on the college football show, and it will continue. Unfortunately, for the people who are arguing that 12 teams is going to ruin the regular season, it's happening. So you either have to get on board with it or stop watching it. I don't know what the option is that you have. The thing to me is when we argue about the top 4 spots, there's not enough spots for even the Power 5 teams that win their own conference. Whether you think conference championships matter or not, there's not even 5. Then you have the at-large bid. Like if we're looking right now at the potential 12-team playoff for this season, number 12, Tulane. Like that would never, ever happen. Cincinnati happened last year, and it's going to take a long time for that to happen again if we stayed with 4. I love it because then you actually have a chance to let these teams play it out and decide who the actual best team in the country is. And right now, we assume it's Georgia or Michigan, wherever you stand. With 12 teams, who's to say that Alabama doesn't beat Utah in this said playoff and get to the point where they have to play Georgia and Nick Saban beats Kirby Smart again? We don't know that. In a 12-team playoff, we would.
I have 4 takes, and I'm going to go rapid fire. Number 1, college football has never, ever made a mistake expanding its postseason or playoff system, ever. 25 years ago, Michigan and Nebraska split a national title because we played in this archaic, stupid system where we didn't put them together in bowls. Nebraska went to one place, Michigan went to the other. They both finished undefeated, and they both won a national title. That was the dumbest thing that ever happened. The fact that it made it all the way to 97 is stupid. And the next year, we started the BCS. Tennessee played Florida State, and we actually started crowning a national champ. But then that had problems because you had undefeated Auburn get left out in 2004. So you go to a 4-team playoff, and it was exciting and good, and you're crowning a better champion. And now we're going to 12, and it opens up the whole thing. It's no longer just a pipe that's mounting with pressure. It is a 12-team playoff. What the 14 playoff is an exclusive club that every now and then has some trespassers, like Washington 2016, Cincinnati last year, TCU possibly this year. But mostly it is reserved. It is a neighborhood. It's a gated community of mansions for these big teams like Alabama, Ohio State, Clemson, Georgia, whoever can get in there. Now, with 12 seats at the table, you open everything up. You also take back December. Take back December. Right now, the season ends last Saturday, or Championship Saturday is the first Saturday in December, and we don't have anything else until January 1st that really, really matters. That's 4 fucking weeks that the NFL just gets to be the star. NBA takes Christmas Day. Now, December is going to matter in college football. This idea that the playoff, 12-team playoff, kills the regular season is the weakest, most beta idea I've ever heard in my fucking life.
How many times this year have you said that Michigan Ohio State have a 1-game season?
Last Saturday was Rivalry Saturday. 60 games. Over 60 games were played. How many of them mattered? 2. 2 mattered. It was USC Notre Dame, and it was
Ohio State, Michigan.
Thank you very much. Ohio State, Michigan. That's how many mattered. You're having these November, the week before that. How many games mattered? Hardly any. Okay? That's what happens when you have a 4-team playoff. With a 12-team playoff, you are expanding everything. The table gets bigger, and games with number 15 against number 12 in November are going to be life and death. This is better. This is better. This is better. Right now, the gap in college football between the first best team and the fifth best team is bigger than 20 to 50. And you're about to get rid of that because you're going to have this transfer portal. You're going to have players going everywhere, opportunity everywhere, playoff opportunity everywhere, TV opportunity everywhere. This is good. It opens the sport up. One more. Go ahead. You can respond.
No, I was going to say not only does it make these games matter more, because you're right, even late November, unless you are a team that is undefeated or has a decent one loss, you're out of the question. Think about the arguments that we've had many times now, especially over the last couple of weeks. Well, who's better, Ohio State or Alabama? Who's better, Tennessee before they lost to South Carolina or USC? We don't know. We're just guessing. We're going off of an opinion of what they've played in their own conference. Now the conversation of, well, Alabama has 2 losses, but they only lost by single digits both times. But Ohio State only has 1 loss, but they got killed. Put them both in. Let them both prove that they deserve to be one of those top 4 spots. Those arguments are now null and void because we actually get to see it play out on the field, as opposed to a bunch of us with differing opinions trying to fit a square into a circle hole.
This idea that people come back and say, oh, Alabama and Ohio State are just going to get in every year now. Well, they pretty much get in every year right now. They're not going to get – they potentially might not get in this year. But if you open it up to 12 – and Alabama and Ohio State do get in every year, it's because they're good enough to get in every year. It's because it's a democratic process. They can get in every year. I don't think that's a bad thing. If Alabama loses 2 games in the regular season, finishes number 10, and then wins the playoff, well, that means they will have beaten number 7 and then number 2 and then number 1. So they will have earned that. It will be earned on the field. I don't understand if you love college football, and your main thing is because it has the best regular season in sports. That's a fine take. But why do you settle for the best regular season in sports while also accepting the worst postseason in sports? Because that's what college football has. 4 teams play games that matter. Everybody else opts out. Ohio State just told the Rose Bowl, don't take us. We don't want to come. That's the Rose Bowl. And they said, we don't want to come. That's the postseason you have right now. It's the worst postseason in sports right now. So why not, even if you give a little bit of your regular season, which I don't think you're going to, give me a little bit of that, and let's have a good December and a good postseason, and let's bring college football into the world of sports with everybody else. Yes, Jack?
Also, you're still playing for buys. The buys are going to matter because if you think about it, at this point in the season, I mean, TCU's talked about it. Specifically, they had their bye like week 4 or 5. And they've talked about how this whole run that they've been on in the Big 12 has been like a juggernaut, and they wish they could have some time off. Mm-hmm. But this weekend, which in the Big 12 championship, let's say there was a 12-team playoff, yeah, they wouldn't be playing to be in the playoff, but they would be playing for a bye that would be very advantageous for them and other schools, because health, specifically in football, really matters at the end of the year. And I think we forget how often just some time off for these guys are like massive, especially after a juggernaut of a schedule like the SEC. I know the Big 12 is not the SEC, but all these conferences, you still have to show up every Saturday.
Well, let me ask you this: what if Utah and you was playing USC this weekend, and Utah had a chance to get into a 12-team playoff? Doesn't that enhance the way they come into this game as opposed to just playing spoiler for USC? Same with Kansas State for TCU.
Another thing that is a very lame argument that's happening is, so you guys just want to see more blowouts. Like, that's what's going to happen if you expand the playoff. Again, looking at this potential, what this season would look like, you're telling me that you don't want to see number 8 Penn State versus number 9 Clemson? You think that's going to be a blowout? Number 6 Alabama versus number 11 Utah? Number 7 Tennessee versus number 10 Kansas State? If anybody can look at me with a serious face and say that those 3 games, I understand the Ohio State Tulane is not going to jump off the page to anybody, but the other 3 games that would be in the expanded playoff, those games don't scream blowouts to me. Those games do not scream, I wouldn't want to sit and watch that. I would watch the shit out of those 3 games. So I don't understand that logic. And guess what? They're going to be blowouts every single year, not just in college football. It's going to happen across the board. So why not give us more of an opportunity to see which team deserves to go up against the 4 teams that get buys?
That scene that Neyland Stadium had earlier this year against Alabama with the sunset and the goalpost. More college football is good. Can you imagine Neyland Stadium second week of December hosting number 10 Kansas State?
Oh my God, no, that would be so awesome.
Imagine Beaver Stadium hosting Clemson next weekend.
So to the point of these people who are like, well, it weakens the regular season and you just want to see more shitty games in a playoff. Those people just don't want to watch what you just laid out. Those people don't want to watch Utah and Alabama. Those people, I can't figure out what the argument is with that. And furthermore, to the point we've been saying all year, it's like, if you don't want to watch the games, then don't do it. You don't love college football then. You can love regular season football and then turn it off in the postseason if you're that mad about it.
Just to play devil's advocate, I do understand why some people may, like, if you don't love it, but, like, I may love something, and if it changes, it stinks if it's gone. It's like if you have...
But if you love it, you don't want to see...
No, but if you love it,
game?
you love how it's structured now.
But the playoff has been here since 2014.
It's not even been 10 years.
It's not even in 4th grade yet.
No, I know.
Yeah.
But it's just telling someone, oh, you don't love it because they...
Oh, I'm not saying they don't. I'm saying if they're so mad about it, then don't watch these games. But my point is, if you love to watch these great games in the regular season, especially non-conference games, why would you not love a Penn State-Clemson game that matters? Why would you not love a Kansas State-Tennessee game that matters?
Yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying, but from somebody's perspective that they love how it's structured now and they don't want to see how it's going to change... The change could be difficult for them, and they have a sport that they love, and they don't want it to change. There is downside here, without a doubt.
Again, let me go back to my original point when you bring that up. I don't think college football has ever made a mistake when it expanded its playoff, when it changed its playoff, when it said the old bowl system isn't working, let's go to a BCS. That was positive. BCS isn't working, let's go to a playoff 4. That was positive, and I think this is smart. I think this is a smart change too.